Have you ever wondered why so many people are drawn to the occult? There's tarot cards, astrology, crystals, and spells, but what's behind these practices? They promise answers, but what about them specifically are they really offering that resonates with so many people? Are you potentially vulnerable? If so, that's probably a good thing to be aware of. So let's take a look at the psychological vulnerabilities behind involvement in the occult. We'll also look at the way it impacts other people and how to break free through Christ. The first type of person involved in the occult that we'll talk about is the casual seeker. For many, occult practices start off as just harmless fun. It's a horoscope here and there, some tarot cards at a party because you want it to be cool, but not badly enough to do drugs. And it's easy to just think that this is all entertainment. But the thing is that these are not 21st century games. These are formalized disciplines that have been passed down by occultists for thousands of years. Like astrology is very old and condemned throughout scripture. For example, in Isaiah 47. Now, just as hanging out with any legitimately bad influences can easily corrupt your judgment and character, even casual dabbling in the occult can influence your mindset in a very negative way. These practices get people to look for guidance outside of God, automatically distorting their worldview bit by bit. It may start small, but once you invite these forces in, they start to shape your thoughts and decisions. The next red flag or type of person involved in this sort of thing is the spiritual explorer or spiritual seeker. A lot of people seek spirituality in the occult, hoping to unlock deeper truths or find a purpose. But the fact is that they're immediately led astray into a hall of mirrors because their whole worldview becomes an illusion. It's an illusion that can't sustain itself, so the philosophy relies on being able to be constantly changed and updated. Occult practices can look like enlightenment, but they mask the real truth that Christ offers, which is peace, understanding, and ultimate clarity. It's easy to believe that magic or cosmic energy holds the answers, but those are just illusions. They promise more but deliver less. And at its core, the occult goes right back to the original temptation. Acquire this knowledge, and you can be like God. But the minute you choose the fruit of knowledge over the source of wisdom, you disqualify yourself from both. But spiritual experience isn't the only desire in this motivational spectrum, which takes us to number 3, the power seekers. For some, the occult is all about control, gaining power over their life or others. Practices like witchcraft or magic offer a false sense of control, even though they're empty. They might feel empowering at first, and you might see some crazy stuff. I did. I know how exciting that can seem at first. But ultimately, these practices only serve to pull people away from God, who is the true source of power. What they gain instead is the illusion of power, one that in the end controls them instead of the other way around. And look, let's be reasonable. If you're looking for spiritual power outside of God, who is all powerful, how far do you really think that you're going to get? Because it's a little bit like running from the Georgia State Police in a horse-drawn carriage, except infinitely worse. But that takes us to the last type of person involved in the occult, and that is the hardened practitioner. Those who are deeply entrenched in the occult, people for whom this lifestyle is no longer just a phase, they've intentionally rejected Christ and their hearts have become hardened. But a couple things. One is that nobody is beyond redemption. But we do have to be realistic and bold when it comes to calling out false teachers. But people also need to be protected from them decisively. Their message may not seem that dangerous at first, but fundamentally, through and through, this is a satanic undertaking. A good example of this is something that's found in both Eastern and Western traditions, and that's the concept of balance. You might hear that and go, what's wrong with balance? And some of you probably just threw your phone at the wall because you hear that and go, balance? That's not satanic. What are you talking about? Well, God didn't work 3.5 days and rest 3.5 days. So where did this idea of equal rest and work come from? But let's actually look at this. In the Eastern traditions, you have things like the Tao, which is light and dark. In Western practices, it's typically founded in some version of the left and right hand paths with a central path that is a mixture. So fundamentally, the occult agenda is to pollute. Its core teaching is to mix darkness and light. What do you suppose a habitual thought pattern centered around this concept might do to a person over the long term? Well, for one, it demolishes their moral compass, intentionally blurring the lines between right and wrong and allowing evil to be accepted as part of the whole. It's part of why you see such rampant degeneracy in these communities, by the way. But that being said, what about the people who aren't involved but are affected by the actions of friends, family, and so on? And I sort of feel like I'm doing an intervention right now, but occult practices don't just affect the individual. When somebody gets involved in this, the whole atmosphere of their home and maybe even their community just completely shifts. People close to them are subtly influenced by these beliefs, maybe without even realizing it. And that's part of why it's so important to protect your own faith, to be disciplined in study, prayer, and proper spiritual guidance to help others see the truth. I mean, pray for them, but also understand that God's method for reaching people is often through other people. So you're on the front lines here, and you need to be prepared because this is serious stuff. And there's only one way to truth and life. The solution to the occult is simple. It's turning back to Christ. There's no practice, no ritual, no spell, no sage or crystal that can offer you what Christ gives. Freedom from darkness, healing of the deepest brokenness, and eternal love, peace, joy, and fulfillment. We are not in this alone. Jesus has promised to never leave us, never abandon us, and to never lose us. No matter how deep someone is, there's always hope in the Lord. The enemy might try to say otherwise, but it's a lie. Christ will crush the skulls of every blasphemous demon who's ever worked to distort the image of God in us. So choose your side wisely. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment down below if anything resonated with you, or if there's any particular questions or struggles that I can help address in my future videos. And until next time, God bless.